Coming to the detailed analysis of the poem Imperial Adam by A.D. Hope, let's take up the first verse of this poem. Imperial Adam, naked in the dew. So it begins with the title, Imperial Adam. The Adam who had built this whole empire, or an empire building Adam. Now, an important imagery he is giving us. A person who had built this whole empire, who is the father of mankind, he was sitting naked in the dew, in the paradise. No, he had no clothes on him and he was alone. He was not being accompanied by anyone. That is the first imagery that we get about Adam in paradise, naked, sitting in dew. The Imperial Adam felt his brown flanks and found the rib was gone. Brown flanks is the muscle, near the ribs. So he felt the haath lagaya inko, dekha, and he felt that the rib is gone. Some portion of the rib is not present. Either it has been removed or something has happened to it. But he does not know what has happened to it. He just came to know by feeling it. जब उसने हाथ लगाया तो उसे मालूम पड़ा कि मेरी पसली के साथ कुछ हुआ है, मेरी रिब के साथ कुछ हुआ है, मेरी रिब यहाँ से गायब. Puzzled he turned and saw where 2 and 2 the mighty spoor of Yahweh marked the lawn. Puzzled. So he was puzzled at seeing all this. What has been wrong with my ribs? So he turned and saw 2 and 2. Now he saw close to him what? The spoor of Yahweh. And Yahweh is a reference to a Judaist, a God in Judaism, the God of Jews. This whole tribe of Judaism, they would call God Yahweh. And he says that there was a track of that, or a remain of that, which suggested कि ये जो मेरी रिब के साथ किसी ने गड़बड़ की है, God is responsible for all those things. Because there are some signs, spoor of his, some signs of his, some track of his, which gave sufficient evidence to Adam that whatever has been wrong with my ribs is done by God, is an act of God. That was the first stanza. Now what we have in the first stanza is the beginning of this whole narrative which would be in this poem. So the poem is set in the Eden, in the paradise. We have Adam who is naked, who is alone, but he suddenly feels that one of his rib is gone. So he is puzzled that what's wrong with my rib. So he sees here and there and he finds some marks or some fragments or some track of Yahweh, the God, and he realizes that he must have been responsible for this. He must have done something wrong with he must have done something with my rib that I am feeling now. Then he remembered through mysterious sleep, the surgeon fingers probing at the bone. Then he remembered from the mysterious sleep. Maybe a thought came to him, or maybe he slept and he had a dream, and then he realized that when I was unconscious or when I was sleeping, a surgeon finger touched my wounds. Now this surgeon could be a reference to God. God came and he touched my wounds. Now God has been, a metaphor surgeon has been used for God. वो मेरे पास आया और उसने मुझे यहाँ हाथ लगाया, मुझे कुछ याद ऐसा आ रहा है. Now this is what Adam is remembering, or this is what Adam is thinking about. कि कुछ ऐसा मेरे साथ हुआ था. The voice so far away, so rich and deep. फिर मैंने एक आवाज भी सुनी थी, far away, दूर से, जैसे मुझे कोई कह रहा था. From a great distance someone was saying me, and that voice was deep, which means that voice was so truthful, was so impactful upon me. I heard that voice. मैंने वो आवाज सुनी और उस आवाज ने क्या कहा? It is not good for him to live alone. इसके लिए अकेला रहना ठीक नहीं है. It's not good for him to live alone. Adam के लिए तन्हा रहना ठीक नहीं है. Now he is recollecting that what would have happened when he was in that unconscious state, or when his rib was gone, or when his rib was taken out, or something was done to his rib. When all that process was going on, he is now trying to recall the whole incident, and he comes to know that there was someone who touched his bones, and there was someone who said that it's not better for him to live alone. Coming to the third stanza of this poem, turning once more he found man's counterpart in tender parody breathing at his side. तो उसने फिर घूम के देखा एक बार पहले स्टेंजा में देखा था. So again he turned and looked that what would have been the result, and what he found was man's counterpart, was a companion of man, was an opposite of man, an absolute parody, breathing besides him, as alive as him. Yeah, no, just like him, and that is the Eve. That is the creation of Eve, and that is the accomplishment of this myth or the biblical story that we are told, that this is how Adam and Eve were created. First Adam was created, then Adam was bored because of loneliness, and then Eve was created out of his ribs. And how A.D. Hope dramatizes this whole scene, this whole action, and he says that he found Eve besides him. He knew her at first sight. He knew by heart her allegory of sense unsatisfied. He knew उसने उसको एक नजर में पहचान लिया, and he knew that this must have been something which would satisfy me in time to come. This must have been that lonely, that fulfillment of the loneliness that he had, a companion who will be his second half, his better half, and which would most probably satisfy him, most probably accomplish him, most probably complete him. And he knew her at first sight. उसको उसकी introduction की जरूरत नहीं थी. It wasn't required that someone would come and introduce her. This is Eve. She has been created from your ribs, and this is the purpose of her creation. He knew at first sight all these things. Who? The Adam. Coming to the fourth stanza, the papa drooped its golden breast above, less generous than the honey of her flesh. Now, from this stanza onwards, we'll have the sexual imagery at its peak. The papa is a word used for papaya, and he is presenting to us the imagery of the breasts of the Eve and comparing them with the papaya, and he says that he saw them, and they were like honey. They making a very sensuous imagery of this whole scene is what A.D. Hope is doing here. The innocent sunlight showed the place of love. The dew on its dark hairs winked crisp and fresh. Now, the innocence of Adam would now decrease. Now, up to this point, he was innocent, which means that we are told that when Adam and Eve were in the paradise, and before they had not disobeyed the commandment of God, they didn't know about the sexual parts of their body. But once they committed that act, those things were revealed. So the innocence of the human beings went away. So this is something that he is hinting at, though he is not talking about the forbidden fruit yet. First he is telling that they came to know about those parts, about those sexual parts of their body. They saw them, and he found attraction even through her hairs, through her beauty, through her face. That is of Eve.